Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Fantastic Four Fanfare. There is so much good to say about this comic book. I can't even begin. No, seriously, I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get right into who made this comic book to a degree, and then we're going to go on from there. So there are three stories in this. The first one is called Hide and Seek. The first one is called Dinner and a Movie, with Jonathan Hickman writing it and Dustin Weaver doing the art. Color art by Marco Menez. Guys, stick with me. Dinner and the Movie is the only one I'm going to be talking about in this one. There's another one called Future Uncertain by John Taylor Christopher and Andrew McIntosh. Another one called Hide and Seeker by Mark Buckingham with colors by Dave Stewart. All the letters done by VC's Joe Caramagna. Cover art Claudio Castanelli and Dean White. We're happy. A bunch of variant covers for this too. And Howard Chaykin actually got to do one of them. I hardly ever see the dude doing stuff anymore. Fantastic Four, of course, was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Guys, look, first off, just for the sake of conversation, Marvel Fanfare is one of those amazing comics from back in the day when they used to reprint some of the older stuff. Remember, there were no comic book stores way back in the day, right? They started to exist around the time that I started growing up. Comic book conventions, like except for the one in the Jacob Javits Convention Center, I don't even think maybe there was one in San Diego at the time. I don't know, but aside from the New York one, nobody ever showed up to these things. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby would never show up to, anything but the Jacob Convention Center one. What do you call it? But all the other ones that you would go to would usually just be in like a motel. Now, I'm not joking. They would be in a motor lodge down in the basement or in the big meeting room. There would just be a big circle filled with outside and inside comic books, just people, vendors selling comic books, and you'd be going through and looking for what you want. I remember the one time I bought or I could have bought one share of stock in Marvel, which would have just gone bankrupt not too long afterwards. So, hey, but like this is the kind of stuff that we had back in the day. We didn't have a whole lot, you know what I'm saying? So these repeat comic books, these reprint comic books were the most important thing imaginable. They would never think, never imagine putting out a second and third and a fourth printing and stuff like that. It just, no. They would put them out in Marvel Fanfare or some of the other comic books like that. But that's what this book was. And a lot of times they would even have a single story in it that was different from other stories to kind of get you introduced. I might be wrong, but I think Marvel Fanfare actually had the first appearance of Nighthawk. I think his name was Nighthawk. Spacesuit looking dude with the hook and anyway, the crystal. I think that's Nighthawk. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to talk about all that stuff. But the idea they're calling it Fantastic Four Fanfare, bro, sign me up any day of the week. This is issue number 2. Should have said that right from the very beginning. I apologize. It shows you how excited I am for this comic book. Right in the very beginning, we get a brand new story, and this is Jonathan Hickman. Bro, if you've been reading Jonathan Hickman, if you are like me and you've been reading these books and you're just like, yo, I would love to read some Jonathan Hickman, but I got to be in the right mental space for this. Like, usually I got to be in an enigma phase for this. I've literally got to be like, okay, World War II is happening. The Nazis is over there. I'm over here. We got to interpolate their stuff. We got to translate and transcribe and decode and solve the Enigma code for all the crazy stuff they're doing, or we're screwed. All right. We need more than just Navajos at this point. We's in trouble. All right. That's what I think of whenever I think of Jonathan Hickman. Any day of the week, I'm like, nope, I got to be in the right mood to read some Hickman. So I thought, well, it's only 1/3 of the book. Let me just read this thing. It should have been the whole book. But actually, it's perfect the way it was. This one shot, 1/3 of the book's story. Holy crap. I laughed my ass off. Jonathan Hickman book? I enjoyed myself. There was nostalgia like crazy. Bro, they're sitting down and what do you call it? They come in and they're talking about, oh, hey, here's the remote control. But it turns out the remote control was a little bit maybe not the correct remote control, and they're sitting there flipping through the channels so they can sit down and watch some TV. And some horror movies start coming on, and all of a sudden, horror characters start showing up, and they got to start fighting these horror characters. Right away, you got Michael Myers, you got Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees. Jason with his 2 axes there. And that was especially funny for me. I don't know if you guys are looking. I put role-playing games up almost every week because every Friday or so we play a game of some sort. And right now, I'm in charge of the game, so I'm the storyteller, and I'm doing some, remember Vampire the Masquerade? I'm not running that. But in the White Wolf World of Darkness, first edition, I'm running Hunter the Gathering. And this is hysterical. One of my mustache hairs came down. Anyway, it's gone now. So, and it happened to be one of the dark ones, not one of it was one of the pepper ones, not one of the salt ones. So that was, darn it, I'm trying to save the darker ones. Anyway, so I'm running Hunter the Reckoning. So these are regular humans who have been imbued because all these vampires and werewolves and changelings and wraiths and all these different characters, rather demons, and all of a sudden these particular humans playing this, they see what's going on, and it's like, oh shoot. So they get imbued with powers, and they got to go out with guns or whatever and start taking out these monsters in the darkness. So they all wind up getting almost killed in the previous episode. So the one that I just put up this Friday, they were all in a hospital. So I had to make, because it was Friday the 13th, the only Friday the 13th this year, and it happened to be the 46th, I believe, or 48th birthday of of Jason. So this is actually on Jason's birthday, his proper, Friday the 13th birthday in June, and it's the only Friday the 13th this year. So I'm like, I gotta make them fight Jason Voorhees, and I did, and it was freaking hysterical. It was epic. It was awesome. And anyway, so go and watch that stuff. Little plug in here. I don't put a lot of commercials in. So anyway, boom, that happens. These guys, they have to fight these guys. They have to deal with this stuff. And it's not just them. All of a sudden, 1,000 Chuckies start coming over the thing, and he's like, get off of me. I expect the thing to have to fight the thing at some point. No spoilers, but no spoilers for this. Like, holy crap, this was amazing. At one point, here's freaking Reed Richards holding this cube in his hand. Well, it's actually it's not quite the lament configuration, but it's the triangle version. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not when I turn my head from the mic, but they're dealing with the lament configuration from Hellraiser movies, right? And what do you call it? This is a 3D print that I have. Shoot, I forget how to open it. If I can't open it, then I can't control the darkness, and maybe they're gonna, there we go. It actually opened. Anyway, I'm not gonna play with it though. Die. So he's actually messing with one of these, and the Cenobites are standing there, chains all over him like it's freaking Pinhead, talking about, you've done such and such, and now da-da-da. And I'm like, Hickman is into this stuff? Hickman is into all these movies? Yo, I just found out so much awesomeness about Hickman. And he's just like, are you sure you want to go for a game of puzzles with me? Do you not know who I am? And Reed Richards is hysterical in this. What do you call it? Triangle Head is going after freaking Sue Storm. The whole thing, which is perfect, because when you think about what Silent Hill actually is, this world, then that world, this world, so I'm invisible, I'm not invisible, all this stuff. Dude is still operating on the highest possible level. Hickman is so far beyond all of us. Every single one of us. You know what I'm saying? He's operating up here, just making a throwaway story, and my mind is still blown by how ridiculously intelligent this son of a gun is. Hickman, you absolute genius, you. Man. Guys, if you don't get this comic book, you and me ain't friends. It's as simple as that. Also, 2 more bonus stories in here. And I'm not going to even touch on them. Go enjoy. It's good stuff. But this first one just, my mind is blown. I'm dazzled. I'm ciphering. And I'm laughing my butt off the entire time. Yo. Go check this book out. Fantastic Four Fanfare issue number 2. Absolutely surprised the hell out of me. Go and have it surprise the hell out of you too. Maybe you don't have to watch an ad this time because I gave you the ad for my other video, but definitely like the video. I'll talk to you guys later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.